How y'all doing? Phenomenal. It's great. We got.
Back in the slot this season, how has it felt being back in that position on the field?
I mean, honestly, it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of success there in previous 4 years before last year. So I think it feels good to be back in there. It gives me a lot of versatility. But I think situationally and like formationally, like end up outside sometimes. So back to like what I was doing before. But also, I mean, I think that we have like a lot of good guys too. Like we have a really great room. A couple vets, and me, Mike, Shep, and we got a bunch of young guys that are hungry and ready to step up and make some plays. And I think you saw a lot of that today.
A lot of the guys have been hyping about. You had Mike Evans say you look as good as you looked since 2019. Earlier, coach said you look leaner than before. Do you feel that on the field, and kind of how do you feel about your physical stance right now?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, man. I think that anytime you're coming off of the injury that I did, right, like it takes a few years to kind of get back. And I've always been the type of person, I'm never really like focused on like dwelling on the past. So just trying to do like the best I can with like what I have. And last 2 years, like 2 years ago, like first year off the injury, I was doing pretty good, but I could tell like something was a little bit like missing. And then last year was a little bit better. So this year I'm looking to, step back up again. And I think only time will really tell, like how things play out. But I'm feeling pretty good about this year. And honestly, I'm just eager for the opportunity.
What did you feel like was kind of missing?
Well, I think the things that kind of stand out a little bit the most are just like, you lack a little bit of explosion. And like those things take time to get back, right? Like you spend your whole life kind of building that up, and then you have to kind of like rebuild it. So while there were some things that I did like really well and kind of like worked my way through, there was still more like left out there on the table. Like I'm just eager to get back to doing some of the things that I've historically done well. So I'm right out there to catch stuff, scoring more touchdowns, all the things that I can do to really help the team. And I think just like the offense, I think the confidence like that I'm stepping on the field with, I think the comfort with Bake, I think all of those things will play into just, a more productive season.
Train differently in the lead up to training camp this year than in past years?
I think every year I change things up just a little bit. I think if you're ever just doing the exact same thing, I feel like you're kind of being complacent, and I never really want to take that approach. Always looking for different ways to be a little bit better, and that comes from like recovery, training, the whole nine. So, like I said, I'm excited about the year, man.
You played on.
You look cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like your body's a little bit different coming into this camp?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, it's like I think the way that we practice kind of like helps that. I think that like the types of reps that I'm getting is helping that. But also like, I've always ate really well. So maybe just like changing like the things like that I eat, or like changing like how much running you do. I think all of it, like it's a big picture thing. Like it's not just like like you just go change your diet and now like you're playing better. It's like it's a full scale approach.
Practice is in pretty good tempo.
Yeah, like we practice at a really good tempo. We're getting like more reps like early on, but we've been working that since OTAs. I think that just the way that the coaches have approached it has been really good, and allow guys to be confident stepping onto the field, and like we're hitting the ground running. I think we started off a little bit slow today offensively, but we finished really, really strong, and that's a good sign.
I'm going to ask you about the vibe. Like last year, everybody was predicting you guys to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Re-signed everybody. Mike, Baker, Levante comes back. You got everybody. Does it feel a little bit different early in camp here? Like a lot of confidence with this vibe?
I mean, being perfectly honest, last year, like it didn't matter to us either way, like what anybody else thought. And I think I've said that, like it doesn't matter what people project before the season, not just for us, but for anybody. It doesn't matter if you like until we get on the field. Like you go out there and you play the games for a reason. Like if it was just on paper, there'd be no reason to play the games. Like you would just pick whoever people perceive to have the best roster and just crown them champions. But like that's not how it works. So like regardless of what anybody outside the building thinks, last year we were confident, and this year it's the same way. Like we have our core nucleus back, and now we have the opportunity to go out there and to win games. But if we don't go out there and put the work in during training camp, we're doing ourselves a disservice, and we won't be able to go out there and execute on the game field. But I think guys are just confident. We're having a lot of fun, and I think that we're very unified. Like we feel really good about like who we have, and guys are just like enjoying being around our teammates.
I don't think there's a better situation for a young receiver to come in than to have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans as your mentor, right? You had Mike obviously when he came in, but J-Mac has flashed ever since he was drafted, and we saw him out here today a couple of times. what do you like about this young guy, and how much having that third dude, right, that can do those type of things athletically, how much will that make you and Mike's job a little easier?
Man, I think well, first I think you hit it on the head, right, with him, like the situation he's coming into, right? Like when I came in, like I had Mike, but like I also had D-Jack and I had Adam Humphries, right? Like I had a good group of guys ahead of me that like helped show me how to be a pro, and like I think I was able to come and fit in and learn from those guys and like apply what I could to my game. And I see a lot of those same things in Jalen. Like he has a really good feel for the game. You can tell that already, just the way he moves. He's coming in playing with confidence, and like he's doing a really good job of taking in the advice from from the vets, from me, Mike, from Shep, guys who have played a lot of ball. He's like really taking in like that advice and really applying it. Definitely like we still have like a long way to go, and like that's what I was telling him today. But like I really appreciate his enthusiasm for the game. Like he makes a big play and like he's celebrating. And like we're trying to get more of that. We're trying to like it's not just business as usual. Like we score a touchdown, like let's celebrate. This shit's fun, So I think he's off to a really good start. But again, it's day 2, right? We got to put the pads on, and then progress to preseason games and then on to the regular season. But off to a good start, and I think it's a great addition to our group.
Because you have chemistry with Baker now and the confidence is there, it looks like you guys have kind of picked up where you left off at the end of last season. Has it just allowed everybody to play loose out there? You mentioned like having fun, celebrating. It just seems like that's kind of picked up the aura as well.
Yeah, I think so. Like we're just, like you said, like we're out there trying to have fun. It seems like that's where Big shines the most anyway, right? Like he's out there, he's like a big kid. Like he's scrambling around. Like the end of the last drill there, like he's having a ball, and like that kind of stuff is infectious, like to the rest of the team. So just like his demeanor, his approach, I think we all rally around that. We got some high energy guys on the defensive end too, and like we're getting really good competition. And the more we compete against each other, like the harder we push each other offensively and defensively, the better off we'll be when the season starts.
Chris, you've played in contract years. You've had contract years before. Does that drive you in any way? Do you feel that?
Not necessarily. Like, I mean, I think I'm aware of what's going on. Like, I'm aware of like where I am, like in my career. But like, my approach is always to get better. Like, I'm always trying to be the best that I can be and to improve like from the year before. Like, I'm gonna go out there and play good because I want to play well, and I want to win games, and I want to be the best that I can for my team. Like, regardless of the contract situation. Like, I'm a firm believer that I take care of what I have to on the field. Everything else will take care of itself.
Thought about being able to do a bunch of things on the field. One of those things being blocking. How big is it for you guys to be able to block to establish that run game? Your run game hasn't been the greatest this year the past couple years statistically. How big will that be in a new offense in general, but especially for the run game?
It's going to be huge. Like, we know that. We speak about that. We understand. Like, it's not just the offensive line in the run game and like in our running backs. Like, we are a very big part of that. And I think as receivers, we're trying to take a lot more pride in being effective as a group in the running game. Because, like, obviously, it only helps us in the pass game, right? Like, it helps us setting up play action. It helps us by, like, having the defense, like, have to commit another defender to the run game. And now we can do better in our drop-back passing game. But also, like, it's crucial to us winning. The games where we ran the ball, like, better last year, we set ourselves up to be successful. And we probably won those games. And like, we know that, like, we're not trying to be last in the league in running and rushing. Like, that's, we can't have that. And we've been towards the last, if not last, the last couple of years. So, like, we've got to be a lot better. And as a group of receivers, we have to, like, be a lot better in helping the running backs, helping the offensive line.
Next year in the new offense with Liam Cohen, when you're in those call-up periods with Liam,
Yep.
And you're kind of learning the offense, does that give you a feel for how he might call games going forward? And what do you like most about his offense and the ability to learn it?
I mean, I think it does give you, like, a little bit of a feel, right? Like, but at the same time, we're still early in camp. So we don't have the entire, like, playbook to choose from right now. It's, like, a limited menu. But I think that, like, I like those drills because it does kind of simulate how a game would go. Like, the flow of subbing guys, like, in and out, like, personnel-wise, like, getting the call, hearing it, and having to execute. We move the ball and have to play situational football. So I think those drills are really, really vital for us. But I think we're starting to kind of get a feel for what Liam likes. You could tell that he's very excited to call plays. He's excited to put this offense together. But one thing I really like about him is he's very open to, like, it being a collaborative effort. Like, he wants our input. He wants to know what guys do well. He wants to know how we feel about things. And I think that's going to make for a really, really exciting year.
Chris, do you have a thought on Shaq Barrett retiring, and do you have any kind of memory of Shaq that stands out as a teammate?
I was kind of surprised to see that he had retired. Obviously, I didn't have any talks with him prior to that. Like I had no idea, but Shaq was always a great teammate, and he was a great player for us, right? Like his first year here when he led the league in sacks or was tops, right? Like that was an amazing year. I think to me though, like the biggest or one of my favorite memories of Shaq was last year, right? Early in the year, it's like I don't know who we were playing. Was it the Bears, right? Back there, backed up, like they tried to throw a screen, and like he one hand pick six. I'm like, for a defensive end to do that, all right, or outside backer, like that's insane. Like the fact that he called it and scored. I remember the guys were just teed up about it. So, I mean, I couldn't be happier for him. I think obviously it's a major decision in his life. But I'm excited for him to get to spend a lot of time with his family, and just congratulate him on a phenomenal career. Appreciate you guys. Y'all be safe.